this knows me. That was right. This knows me well enough, I guess. Why am I so nervous? Ah, tilted. There we go. I don't know why that tilted. Why that tilted. There we go. Alright, there we go. So far I got it done. Hi Randall! Welcome to the stream. How have you been? That was a Discord. That was a Discord box camera. Not like for that. Shit, I forgot what I was doing midway. I can't find it. Dang it. Hold on. Just run by. Say hi, Jim, and bye, Jim. Thanks for stopping by. I forgot. Damn, why am I so nervous, like, for this? Jeez. Why am I so nervous? My God. Why am I so nervous? Jeez, why do I gotta be so anxious though? I keep forgetting to put my stuff on Discord. Hold on. Also, I'm sorry about the lighting. I don't know what's up with the lighting, but it's just, I don't know why it's dark. It's just how it is, I guess. I don't know. Let's be fair, darkness, or at least what you see, is probably darkness. But the dark actually does help sort of get in the mood, I guess. Because I'm actually going to read some Edgar Allan Poe. There it is. I forgot what the promo was for a second. Whoops. Nice one, Alan. She shall be this, blessed are they, the pure a few minutes to join in. Blessed are you, only are you, rejoice and be glad. Okay, fun fact, I'm actually listening to my anxiety comfort playlist. And yes, I do have a playlist for my anxiety. Does it help? Yes, sometimes. But I don't know why I'm so nervous. Excuse me. I'm nervous. Like, when I say nervous, I mean it. Because I don't know if you can see, but I am shaking. I am freaking shaking right now. Like, oh my god. Probably because I've done nothing except just chatting. So I'm not used to like doing anything else that's not just chatting. I don't know, but still, I'm so scared. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. Hold on, I'm just promoting it on Discord. And my neck is stiff. Of course it is. Just do that. Did Twitter not read it? That's froze. Oh, it didn't. Okay. Twitter just took a long time to load. Either Twitter was taking a sweet time, or they choose not to run my. Okay, never mind. Okay, hey sir. Whoops. They're not in an open spot. That. There we go. Let's just run to a lullaby stream real quick. With diamonds and pearls at your hands and your feet. I know that's you keep you safe from all harm. Oh my gosh. Yo, my neck started to kill me. Oh, and when I promoted, I leveled up. Nice. Nice. Good to know. Good to know. Oh wait, whoops. I skipped one. Here we go. Oh, master good that I may never seek. Oh, much to be consoled as to console. Be understood as to understand. To be loved as to love with all my soul. Alright. I think I got all this one. Hold on. What should I start with? What do I want to start with is my question. Oh, I forgot to edit that. And no mind, it's fine. It's fine. Yo. Hello, Ford. Welcome to the stream. How have you been? I'm not reading chat right now. Hold on. Alright. Good, how about you? Yep. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just nervous. I'm just nervous. Oh my goodness. Yes, that. I can't, there we go. Everything alright? Yeah, it's just, I'm not used to doing like anything else that's not just chatting. Because, as you can see in the title, I'm reading 3 Edgar Allan Poe stories. And I never done that on stream. So that's something I'm not used to, so it's just like new to me. Yes, damn, it's just on my phone case. Wait, which is honestly a little weird because Because I have told Edgar on code how many times? 3 times on my channel, I want to say. About 3 times. I'm just not sure which story I should start. I'm not sure. Which Edgar Poe story do I want to start with? Whoops. Save me life. Hello, my faces. Violet! Hi, Vi! Welcome to the stream! Hi, Vi! How are you? Yeah. Oh, God. I don't know if you guys can tell, but my left hand is like moving so much. And that's how nervous I am. That's how nervous I am. I'll do the Raven first, and then Telltale Heart, and then Will and Wilson will say. Because Will and Wilson's long. Like, Will and Wilson is 4 parts, which is really long. 4 pages. It's 4. Oh no, wait, sorry. It's 6 pages. Damn. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? I'm good. I'm good. I'm just really nervous. I'm just nervous. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys heard, like, my knuckles cracked a second ago, but they did. Alright, so I'll start in 2 minutes. I'll read the Raven first. And then I'm gonna go to Telltale Heart. Then William Wilson, which is the longest one. Possibly out of all these. I should probably have William Wilson in another tab, so, or Twitch another tab. Hold on. It's okay to be nervous again. Thanks. Thanks, bye. Thanks, bye. Alright, there we go. Then I'm see if I can. Let's just chat. That kinda worked. I say kinda, not completely. But I was just wanting to know, but okay. I should really get like just the music rendition of this. This way, actually. Is this something that I have to? Where do? Oy vey. Great, now Twitch wants to be stable with me, of course. Oh, that's why. I accidentally said collapse instead of expand. Whoops. That was my phone. No, I was wrong. It's just, okay. I'm gonna just jump to it, so I may not be chat for a while. Alright. Alright. This is William Wilson. The William Wilson's Edgar Allan Poe's. Okay. This is The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm trying not to panic. Alright. I may forget I'm live at some point, but we'll see. Yeah. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if some gentle rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Oh, only this, and nothing more. Distinctly, I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books sincere cues of sorrow for the loss of Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels have named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Vegeta, I saw that. Welcome to the stream anyways. And the silken sad uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors. Never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, it stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Oh my god, this English is gonna drive me insane. Presently, my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping on my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wandering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber, turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping tapping something louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window, ladies. Let me see then what terror it is. In this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment. In this mystery explore, sorry. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here, I flung the shutter, with many a flirt and flutter. In there stepped a saintly raven of the saintly days of yore, not the least obscience made, not a minute stop. Oh boy. Was it like you got hey! What was that for? Boy. Dad! Hey.
What?
Nothing. Yes, you are. Excuse me, boo. Alright. Sorry about that, guys. My brother just opened the door and walked in, and then that was followed by my dad working. Alright, where's I at? Okay. Not the least of his sins made he. Not a minute stopped or stayed he. But in mine, I can't speak. But with mine of Lord or Lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of palace just above my chamber door, perched and sad, and nothing more. God, my heart is pounding right now. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance of war. Though thy crest be it's English, I can't. Midnight, hi midnight, welcome to the stream. I see a cute doggo. Yeah, that was my dog a second ago. You missed it. Is she a Jack? Let's see. No, he is a Shih Tzu. He's a Shih Tzu. Though thy crest be short and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from nightly shore? Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Pluton shore. I almost said Putin shore. I'm not saying that. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marveled this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevance bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being Every year was blessed to see a bird above his chamber door, bird or beast, on the sculpted bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the passive bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather that he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the raven said, then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply, so have I spoken. Doubtless, said I, what it utters is not only stuck in store, caught from some unhappy master who unmercifully disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of the bird and bussed the door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking, fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of lore, what this grim and ungainly, ghastly, gaunt and ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking, Nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to this fowl whose fiery eyes now burns into my bosom's core. This and more I started divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight glowed o'er, but whose velvet violet lining, with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall pass, and nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tingled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried. Oh, snap. My dog almost knocked my tripod over. Alright. Wretch, I cried, thou God had lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite and I don't know how to say that. Nepenthe? I think that's how you say it. From thy memories of Lenore, quaff this kind Nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nothing more. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, I believe bird or devil, whether tempest sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted. Tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a saint and maiden, whom the angels have named Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels have named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked. Upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Pluton shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie that soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart and quoth and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallet bust of palace above my chamber door, and his eyes have all seeming of demons that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out the shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Okay. And that was The Raven with the water. And that was The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. People said that got me nervous. I really wasn't expecting that. I mean, I was expecting that, don't get me wrong, but because I read the story like a lot in the past. There you go. Also, Vi, if you're still in here, I modded you, so you're a moderator. I don't even know why on my end it's like bright, but on the stream it looks dark. I don't know why. Just try something really fast. Jeez Louise. I don't know what that was. Alright, I think we're gonna move on to, I think, my personal favorite Edgar Allan Poe story, which is Telltale Heart. Well, TW with Telltale Heart, this this is really, really gory, and Telltale Heart has mention of death, dismemberment. I think that's how you say it. There's death, dismemberment, mention of a beating heart outside of the body. So just keep that in mind. That the story is gory. Oh, also, but I just saw. I don't know why. I didn't get the notification. Like, do I not get notifications when someone follows me? That's weird. That's weird. So, I get notifications for raids, but I don't get notifications for follows. How did that work? How? I'm so confused. Save on. Either way, though. Also awkward. If you're still here, thanks so much for the follow. I don't know why I did not get these notifications. I don't know why. Okay, note to self. The next time I stream, I'm opening my emails, because that's how I know someone follows. Because I didn't get the notifications that I got follows. I don't know why I didn't get those. It's weird. So I get notifications for raids, but I don't get notifications whenever whenever someone follows me. I am a little confused, but okay. I'm a little confused, but okay. Alright, I'm just gonna move on to Telltale Heart. Alright. Again, trigger warning, this is gory. This contains mentions of disembodiment, mention of a beating heart, and is extremely gory. Just keep that in mind. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease has sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all, was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I hear many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain. But once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I was feel man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that my light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously, oh so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight, but I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work. For it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, and calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man. Indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute had moved more quickly than did mine. Never before that I had felt the extent of my own powers, of my set city. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was opening the door little by little, and he not even to a dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was pitch black, was black as pitch with thick darkness, but the shutters were closed, fastened through fear of robbers. And so I knew that he could not see opening the door. So I kept pushing it on steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprung up in bed crying out, "Who's there?" Oh, I have to head off now. Gotta find some. Okay. Have fun, bye. From recording, sis. I love you. I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. And in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in bed listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in walls. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no. It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when uncharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled from my own bosom, deepening within its echo. The terrors that distracted me, I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I know that he had been lying awake ever since the first sight of noise. When he had turned. My dog's about to kill this tripod. When he had turned in the bed, his fears had been since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain. All in vain. Because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was mournful. It was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it the perfect distinctness, all the dull blue with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And now, have I not told you that what you mistake madness for is but over-acuteness of the senses? Now I say, there came to my eyes a low, dull, quick sound. Get my eyes? Sorry, can't my ears. Man, I fucked that up. There came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of the drum stimulates the soldier in courage. But even yet, I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily how I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say louder, every moment. Do you mark me well? I have not told you that I am nervous, so I am. And now, at the dead hour of night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder and louder. I thought the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. Then I smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the walls. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. I lost where I was. Yes, he was stone dead. That's fun. Bye, Kays. Hi, Kays. Thanks for coming. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there for many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut the head and arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. And I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out. No stain of any kind. No blood whatever. I had been worried too. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there was a knocking at the door. I went down to open it with a light heart, For what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had aroused. Information had been lodged at the police officers, and the officers had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled. For what I had to fear. I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own, in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure and undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought 3 chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which repossessed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, oh, brother. What? Little Bobby. Hey, what are you doing? Hey. The way you child. Alright. Sorry about that. My dog just straight up barked. Oh boy. This was very silly till dog killed the vibe. I'm sorry, Vegeta. I'm sorry. I can't exactly control when my dog barks. That's the thing. Like, he barks when he barks. Except he chooses to bark at the worst timing. Which, I will admit, why does my dog do this? I don't know. He's just a barker. That's just how he is. Where they at? Oh. They sat and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I found myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness until at length I found the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key, and with violent gesticulations. But the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fear by the observation of the men. But the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung my chair upon which I had been sitting and grated upon the boards. But the noise arose, overall continually increased. It grew louder and louder and louder. Honest Vegeta, mood. And still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no. They heard. They suspected. They knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this direction. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark, louder. Villains! I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here. It is the beating of his hideous heart. That was Telltale Heart. That's Telltale Heart is my favorite Edgar Allan Poe story. Like, it gets you it gets you a good scare, but at the same time, it's not too scary, so you won't have a heart attack midway. I'm sitting in this. Wait, I'm sitting up and my back is hurting. Hold on. Whoops. Wrong one. Now there's the last one I said I would do, which is William Wilson, which is the longest. It is long. It's 6 pages, but it's 4 parts. So 4 parts? Wait, 9 parts? Is it 4? It's 4 parts, right? Is it? Yeah, 4 parts. Okay. That confirms. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, that confirms it's 4 parts. I gotta respond to my comment pretty fast. Oh snap! I forgot that my tablet's notifications are unmuted. There we go. Luckily, I didn't get any notifications on my tablet, so you guys didn't hear the sound of my tablet going off. Luckily. And this mask is making me uncomfortable, but at the same time, I can't hesitate to take it off because I'm too scared to take it off. And I thought you were. I thought you were unmuted. Alright, there we go. Gotta get some dinner. Alright, bye midnight. Go get some food. Have a good stream. Have a good stream. Enjoy your food, midnight. Thanks for coming. Alright. Karma responded. Yeah, I should. Out. I just twisted like my body and my back just correct. Just get William Wilson set up. Alright. This is William Wilson. TW, this isn't as bad as Telltale Heart. This isn't as bad as Telltale Heart, but there's still a mention of killing, and if you don't understand the context behind it, it's basically sort of doppelgangers. So if you've ever seen the movie Black Swan, it's basically that. Okay. Let me call myself, for the present, William Wilson. That is not my real name. That name has already been the cause of the horror, of the anger of my family. Have not the winds carried my name? With the loss of honor to the ends of the earth. Am I not forever dead to the world? To its honors, to its flowers, to its golden hopes, and a cloud heavy and endless, does it not hang forever between my hopes and heaven? Men usually become bad by degrees, but I let all goodness fall from me in a single moment, as if I had dropped a coat. From small acts of darkness, I pass in one great step into the blackest evil known. Listen while I tell of the one cause that made this happen. Death is near, and its coming has softened my spirit. I desire in passing through this dark valley the understanding of other men. I wish them to believe that I have been in some ways in the power of forces beyond human control. I wish them to find for me in the story I'm about to tell. Some small facts that proves I could have done only what I did. I would have them agreed that what happened to me never happened to other men. Is it not true that no one has ever suffered as I do? Have I not indeed been living in a dream? And am I not now dying from the horror and the unanswered question? The question of the wildest dream ever dreamed on earth? I am one of a family well known for their busy minds. As a small child, I showed clearly that I too hardened the family character. As I became older, it grew more powerful in me. For many reasons, it became a cause to talk among friends, and the hurt it did me was great. I wanted people always to do things my way. I acted like a wild fool. I let my desires control me. My father and mother, weak in body and mind, could I do little to hold me back. When their efforts failed, of course my will grew stronger. From then on, my voice in the house was law, at an age when few children are allowed to be free. I was left to be guided by my own desires. I became the master of my own actions. I remember my first school. It was in a large house, about 300 years old, in a small town in England, among a great number of big trees. All of the houses there were very old. In truth, it was a dreamlike and spirit-quieting place, that little town. At this moment, I seemed to feel the pleasant coolness under the shade of the trees. I remember the sweetness of the flowers. I hear again with delight. I cannot explain the deep sound of the church bell every hour, breaking the stillness of the day. It gives me pleasure to think about the school. As much pleasure perhaps I am now able to experience. Deep in suffering as I am, suffering only too real. Perhaps no one will object if for a short time I forget my troubles and tell a little about this period. Moreover, the period and place are important. It was then and there that I first saw, hanging over me, the terrible promise of things to come. Let me remember. The house where we boys lived and when went to school was, as I have said, old and wide. The grounds about it were large, and there was high wall around the outside of the whole school. Beyond this wall, we went 3 times each week. On one day, to take short walks in neighboring fields, and 2 times on Sunday to go to church. This was the one church in the village, and the high teacher of our school was also the head of the church. With the spirit of deep wonder and of doubt, I used to watch him there. This man, with slow step and quiet, thoughtful face, and clothes so different and shining clean. Could this be the same man who, with a hard face and clothes far from clean, stood ready to strike us if we didn't follow the rules of the school? Oh great and terrible question beyond my small power to answer. Excuse me. I well remember our playground, which was behind the house. There were no trees, and the ground was hard as stone. In front of the house, there was a small garden. But we stepped into this garden only at first, such as when we first arrived, or when we left for the first time, or perhaps when father or mother or a friend came to take us away for a few days. But the house, what a delightful old building. It was truly a palace. Okay, I got my numbers on. This is 16 pages, so this may take me a while because the story is 16 pages, which is a lot. There was no real end to it. It was not always able to say sir, certainly. Sorry, said I check pretty fast. I was not always able to say certainly which of its two floors I happened to be on. For each room to every other, there were always 3 or 4 steps, either way up or down. Then the rooms branched into each other, and these branches were too many to count, and often turned and came back upon themselves. Our ideas about the whole great house were not very far we're not very far from the house where I was. So too many to count, and often turn back upon themselves. Our ideas of the whole great house were not very far different from the thoughts we had about a time without end. During the 5 years I was there, I could never have told anyone how to find the little room where I and some 18 or 20 other boys slept. The schoolhouse was the largest room in the house, and I couldn't help but thinking it was the largest in the world. It was long and low, and pointed windows and heavy wood overhead. In a far corner, it was the office of the head teacher, Mr. Bransby. This office had a thick door, and we would rather have died than open it when he was not there. Inside the thick walls of this school, I passed my years from 10 to 15, yet I always found it interesting. A child's mind does not need the outside world. In a quiet school, I found more bright pleasure than I found later as a young man in riches, or as an older man in wrongdoing. Yet I must have been different indeed from most of the boys. Few men remember much of their early life. My early days stand out as clear and plain as if they had been cut in gold. In truth, the hotness of my character and my desire to lead and command soon separated me from the others. Slowly, I gained control over all who were not greatly older than myself. Overall, except one. This exception was a boy who, though not of my family, had the same name as my own, William Wilson. This boy was the was the only one who ever dared to say he did not believe all I told him, and who would not follow my commands. This troubled me greatly. I tried to make the others think that I didn't care. The truth was that I felt afraid of him. I had to fight to appear equal with him, but he easily cast himself equal to me. Yet no one else felt as if I did. That this proved him the better of the two of us. Indeed, no one else saw how the battle going on between us. All of his attempts to stop me and what I wanted to do were made when no one else could see or hear us. He did not desire, as I did, to lead the other boys. He seemed to only want to hold me back, sometimes with wonder, and always without pleasure. I saw that his manners seemed to show a kind of love for me. I did not feel thankful for this. I thought it meant only that he thought himself to be fine indeed, better than me. Perhaps it was this love he showed me, added to the fact that we had the same name, and also that we had entered the school on the same day, which made people say that we were brothers. Wilson did not belong to my family, even very distinctly. But if we had been brothers, we would have been near to each other indeed. For I learned that we were both born on the 19th of January, 1809. This seemed a strange and wonderful thing. Moving on to part 2. In my first part of my story, I spoke about my life at first in school and about the other boys over whom I gained firm control, but there was one boy who would not follow my commands, who would not do what I told him, as the other boys did. His name was the same as mine, William Wilson. Although he did not belong to my family in any way, he seemed to feel some love for me, and I entered the school the same day as I did. Many of the boys thought we were brothers. I soon discovered that we had been born on the same day, January 19, 1809. Wilson continued his attempts to command me, while I continued my attempts to rule him. The strange thing is that, although I did not like him, I could not hate him. We had a battle nearly every day. It is true. In public, it would seem that I proved the stranger. But he seemed somehow able to make me feel that this was not true, and that he himself was stronger. Nevertheless, we continued to talk to each other in a more or less friendly way. On a number of subjects, we agreed very well. I sometimes thought if we had met at another time and place, we might have become friends. It is not easy to explain my real feelings towards him. There was no love, and there was no fear. Yet I saw something in honor of him, and I wanted to learn more about him. Anyone experiencing human nature will not need to be told that Wilson and I were always together. This strange appearance of friendship although we were not friends, caused no doubt the strangeness of the battle between us. I tried to make the others laugh at him. I tried to give him pain while seeming to play a light-hearted game. My attempts were not always successful. Even though my plans were well made, there was much about his character that simply could not be laughed at. I could find, indeed, but one weakness. Perhaps he had been born with it, or perhaps it had come from some illness. But no one but me would have made any use of it against him. He was always able to speak only in a very, very soft, low voice. This weakness I never failed to use in any way in my power. Wilson could fight back, and he did. There was one way he had of troubling me and beyond measure. I never liked my name. Too many people had the same name. I would have rather had a name that was not so often heard. The word sickened me. When on the day I arrived at the school, a second William Wilson came also. I felt angry with him for having my name. I knew I would have to hear the name each day, a double number, number of times. The other William Wilson would always be near. The other boys often thought that my actions and my belongings were his, and his were mine. My anger grew stronger with every happening that showed that William Wilson and I were alike, in body or in mind. I had not then discovered the surprising fact that we were of the same age, but I saw that we were the same height, and I saw that in form and face we were also much the same. Nothing could trouble me more deeply, although I carefully tried to keep everyone from seeing it, and to hear everyone say anything else about the likeness between us of mind, or of body, or of anything else. But in truth, I had no reason to believe that this likeness was ever noticed by our fellow schoolmates. He saw it, and as clearly as I, that I knew well. He discovered in his likeness, he could always find a way of troubling me. This proves the more usual sharpness of his mind. His method was to increase the likeness between us, lay both in words and actions, and he followed his plan very well indeed. It was easy enough to have clothes like mine. He easily learned to walk and move as I did. His voice, of course, could not be as loud as mine, but he made his manner of speaking the same. How greatly this most careful picture of myself troubled me, I will not now attempt to tell, seeing that I was the only one who noticed it. I was the only one who saw Wilson's strange and knowing smiles, pleased with having produced in my heart the desired result. He seemed to laugh within himself and cared nothing that no one laughed at him. I've already spoken of how he seemed to think he was better and wiser than I. He could try to guide me, He would often try to stop me from doing things that I planned. He would tell me what I should or should not do. And he would do this not openly, but in a word or two in which I had to look for the meaning. As I grew older, I wanted less and less to listen to him. As it was, I could not be happy under his eyes that always watched me. Every day I showed more and more openly that I didn't know when I was anything he told me. I have said that in the first years when we were in the school together, my feelings might easily have been turned into friendship. But in months later, although he talked to me less and less often, I almost hated him. Yet let me be fair to him. I can remember no time when what he told me was no wiser than would be expected from one of his years. His sense of what was good or bad was sharper than my own. I might today be a better and happier man if I had more often done what he said. It was about the same period, if I remember rightly. By chance, he acted more openly than usual, and I discovered in his manner something that deeply interested me. Somehow, he brought to my pictures of my earliest years. I remembered seeing things I could not have remembered. These pictures were wild, half-lighted, and not clear, but I felt that very long ago. I must have known this person standing before me. This idea, however, passed as quickly as it came. It was on the same day that I had in my last meeting at the school with this other strange William Wilson. That night, when everyone was sleeping, I got out of bed with a light in my hand, and I went quietly through the house to Wilson's room. I had long been thinking of another of plans to hurt him, with which I had to then had little success. I was a purpose now to begin to act according to this new plan. Having reached his room, I entered without a sound, leaving the light outside. I advanced a step and listened. He was asleep. I turned to took the light and again went to his bed. I looked down upon his face. The coldness of ice filled my whole body. My knees trembled. My whole spirit was filled with horror. I moved the light nearer to his face. Was this the face of William Wilson? I saw indeed that it was, but I trembled as if with sickness, as I imagined that it was not. What was there in his face to trouble me so? I looked, and my mind seemed to turn in circles in a rush of thoughts. It was not like this, surely not like this, that he had appeared in the daytime. The same name, the same body, the same day that we came to the school, and then there was his use of my way of walking, my manner of speaking. Was it in truth humanly possible that what I now saw was the result of, and the result only, of his continued efforts to be like me? Filled with wonder and fear, cold and trembling, I put out the light. In the quiet of darkness, I went from his room and without waiting 1 minute, I left that old school and never entered it again. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. That was part 2. That was part 2. 2 more parts left. This may take a while. Because it's 16 pages. 4 pages for each part. It's almost an hour. Mood. Listening for almost an hour. That's a whole mood. That's a whole mood. That's a whole mood. Oh my gosh. But my back is gonna hurt so much after this. Okay. Alright, let's keep going with part 3. Because we're halfway through it. You will remember that in the last part of my story, I told of my experiences in my first school. I spoke of my early meetings with a boy who looked and behaved as I did, whose name was the same as mine, William Wilson. I told of the night when I went to Wilson's room with a plan to hurt him. What I saw that night so frightened me that I left the room and the school forever. As I stood looking back at his sleeping form and face, I might have been looking at myself in a glass. It was not like this, surely not like this, that he appeared in the daytime. The same name, the same face, the same body, the same day come to the school, and then his use of my way of walking, my manner of speaking. Was it in truth humanly possible that I now saw was the result only of his continued efforts to be like me? Afraid, I left the school and never entered it again. After some months at home, doing nothing, I went to study at the famous school in Eden. Excuse me. I had partly forgotten my days at the other school, or at least my feelings about those days had changed. The truth, the terrible truth of what had happened, it was gone. Now I doubted what I remembered. Now I called the subject into my mind, only to smile at the strength of the strange ideas and thoughts I had once had. My life at Eden did not change this view. The fool's life into which I carelessly threw myself washed away every that was vulnerable in my past. I do not wish, however, to tell here the story of my wrongdoing which went against every law of the school and escaped the watchful eyes of all the teachers. 3 years had passed, and I had grown much larger in body and smaller in soul. 3 years of wrongdoing had made me evil. One night, I asked a group of friends who were as evil as I to come to a secret meeting in my room. We met at a late hour. There was a strong drink, and there were games of cards and loud talking until the new day began appearing in the east. Warm with the warm, warm, warm with the wine, and with the games of chance. I was raising my glass to drink in honor of some especially evil idea, but I heard the voice of a servant outside the room. He said that someone had asked to speak with me in another room. I was delighted. A few steps brought me into the hall of the building. In this room, no light was hanging, but I could see the form of a young man about my own height, wearing clothes like those myself I was wearing. His face I could not see. When I entered, he came quickly to me, taking me by the arm. He said softly in my ear, "William Wilson." There was something in the manner of the stranger, and in the trembling of his uplifted finger made my eyes open wide. But it was not this which so strongly touched my mind and heart. It was the sound of those two simple, well-known words, William Wilson, which reached into my soul. Before I could think again and speak, he was gone. For some weeks, I thought about this happening. Who and what was this Wilson? Where did he come from? And what were his purposes? I learned that from family reasons, he had suddenly left the other school on the afternoon on the day I myself had left it. But in a short time, I stopped thinking about the subject. I gave all my thoughts to plans of study at Oxford University. There, I soon went. My father and mother sent me enough money to live like the sons of the richest families in England. Now my nature showed itself with double force. I threw aside all honor. Among those who spent too much money, I spent more, and I added new forms of wrongdoing to the older ones already well known at the university, and fell still lower. Although I may not be easily believed, it is a fact that I forgot my position as a gentleman. I learned and used all the evil ways of gambling, played by cards. Like such skilled gamblers, I played to make money. My friends trusted me, however. To them, I was the laughing but honorable William Wilson, who freely gave gifts to anyone and everyone who was young, who had strange ideas, but who had never done anything really bad. For 2 years, I was successful in this way. Then a young man came to the university, a young man by Glendinning, who people said had quickly and easily became very rich. I soon found him of weak mind. This, of course, made it easy for me to get his money by playing cards. I played with him often. At first, with the gambler's usual skill, I let him take money from me. Then my plans were ready. I met him one night in the room of another friend, Mr. Preston. A group of 8 or 10 persons were there. By my careful planning, I made it seem that it was chance that started us playing cards. In fact, it was Glendinning himself who spoke of a card game. We sat and played far into the night, and at last the others stopped playing. Glendinning and I played by ourselves while the others watched. The game was the one I liked the best. A game called Edgar. Glendinning played with a wild nervousness that I could not understand, though it was caused partly, I thought, by all the wine he had been drinking. In a very short time, he had lost a great amount of money to me. Now he wanted to double the amount for which we played. This was as I had planned, but I made it seem that I didn't want to agree. At last I said yes. In an hour, he had lost four times as much money as before. Don't gamble, kids. For some reason, his face had become white. I thought so rich that losing money would not trouble him, and I believed this whiteness, this paleness, was the result of drinking too much wine. Now fearing what my friends might say about me, I was able to stop the game when his broken cry and wild look in his eyes made me understand that he had lost everything he owned. Weak of mind and made weaker by wine, he should have never been allowed to play that night. But I had not stopped him. I had used his condition to destroy him. The room was very quiet. I could feel the icy coldness in my friends. What I would have done, I cannot say, for at the moment, the wide, heavy doors of the room were suddenly opened. Every light in the room went out, but I had seen that a man had entered. He was about my height, and he was wearing a very fine long coat. The darkness, however, was not complete, and we could only feel that he was standing among us. Then we heard his voice, in a soft, low, never to be forgotten voice, which I felt deep in my bones. He said, "Gentlemen, I am here only to do my duty. You cannot know the true character of the man who has tonight taken a large amount of money from Mr. Glendinning. Please have me take off his coat, and then look at it very carefully." While he was speaking, there was not another sound in the room. As he ended, he was gone. Okay, almost done. Part 4. Now my hands are starting to get numb. There we go. Last part, guys. Heads up though, this does get intense. This does get extremely intense. Okay. As I ended the last part of my story, I was speaking of the terrible evening when I played cards with a young gentleman called Glendinning. We were in the room of one of my friends at Oxford University. I had just realized that the young man, weak of mind and weakened by wine, had allowed me to win from him everything he owned. I was still trying to decide what I should do, when, as I said, the wide, heavy doors of the room were suddenly opened. Every light in the room went out. But I had seen that a stranger had entered. He was about my height, and he was wearing a very fine long coat. The darkness, however, was complete, and we could only feel that he was standing among us. Then we heard him speak in a soft, low, and never to be forgotten voice, which I felt deep in my heart. He said, "Gentlemen, I am here only to do my duty. You cannot know the true character of the man who has tonight taken a large amount of money from Mr. Glendinning. Please have him take off his coat." And then, look at it very carefully. While he was speaking, there was not another sound in the room. As he ended, he was gone. Shall I tell what I felt? Did I say that I was afraid, that I felt sick fear of those who judge forever wrong? Many hands held me. Lights were brought. Hold on, what's my phone at? 45. Alright. Off the spot. Okay. My friends looked through my coat. In it, they found all the high cards, the valuable cards needed to win. In the game we started playing. Secretly using these cards, I could have taken the money of anyone who played the game with me. Mr. Preston, in whose room we were in, then said, "Mr. Wilson, this is yours." He lifted from the floor a fine and warm coat and said, We shall not look in this to prove again what we have proved already. We have seen enough. You will understand, I hope, the need for you to leave the university. At the very least, you must leave my room, and leave it now. Down in the dust, though my spirit was, I might have tried to strike him for those words, if at that moment I had not noticed something so very surprising. My coat had cost more money than most men could spend, and it had been made especially for me. It was different. I thought from every coat in the world. Then, therefore, Mr. Preston gave me the coat which he had picked from the floor. I saw with terror that my own was already hanging my arm, and the two were alike in every way. I remembered the strange being who had so mysteriously entered and left the room had a coat. No one else in the group had been wearing one. I placed the coat offered by Preston over my own and left his room. The next morning, I began a hurried journey away from Oxford. I ran, but I could not escape. I went from city to city, and in each one, Wilson appeared. Paris, Rome, Vienna, Berlin, Moscow. He followed me everywhere. Years passed. I went to the very ends of the earth. I ran in fear, as if from terrible sickness, and still he followed. Again and again I asked myself, who is he? Where did he come from? And what was his purpose? But no answer was found. And then I looked with the greatest care at the methods of his watched over me. I learned a little. It was noticeable. Indeed, that when he appeared now, it was only to stop me in those actions from which evil may result. But what right did he have to control me? I also noticed that although he always wore the same clothes as mine, he no longer let me see his face. Did he think I would know him? He destroyed my honor in Oxford. He did not stop me in my plans. But we're getting a high position in Rome. In my love in Naples. In what he calls my desire for too much money in Egypt. Oh. In what he calls my desire for too much money in Egypt. Did he think I could fail to see that he was William Wilson? Do you think he failed to see that he was William Wilson of my schoolboy days? The hatred and fear of William Wilson? But let me hurry to the last scene of my story. Until now, I had not tried to strike back. He was honorable and wise. He could be everywhere. And he knew everything. I felt such wonder and fear of him. I felt such wonder and fear of him that I believed myself to be weak and helpless, though it made me angry. I had done as he desired, but now I wanted more and more to escape his control. As I began to grow stronger, it seemed to me that he grew weaker. No. I felt a burning hope in my deepest thoughts. I decided that I was going to be free. It was at Rome, during the carnival of 1835, that I went to a dance in the great house of the Duke de Broglio. I had been drinking more wine than usual, and the room seemed very crowded and hot. I became angry as I pushed through the people. I was looking. Let me not say why. I was looking for the young, the laughing, the beautiful wife of old de Broglio. Suddenly I saw her, but as I was trying to get through the crowd to join her, I felt a hand placed upon my shoulder, and the ever-remembered quiet voice in my ear. In a wild anger, I took him to a strong hold. Wilson was dressed, as I expected, like myself, in a rich coat of blue. Around his body was a band of red cloth, from which hung a long, sharp sword. A mask of black cloth completely covered his face. "You again," I cried, my anger growing hotter with each word. "Always you again. You shall not hunt me like this until I die. Come with me now, or I will kill you where you stand." I pulled him after into a small room nearby. I threw him against the wall and closed the door. I commanded him to take his sword in his hand. After a moment, he took it and stood waiting, ready to fight. The fight was short indeed. I was wild with hate and anger, and my arm felt strong of 1,000 men. In a few moments, I had forced him back against the wall, and he was in my power. Quickly, wildly, I put my sword point again and again into his heart. And at that moment, I heard that someone was trying to open the door. I hurried to close it firmly, and then turned back to my dying enemy. But what words can tell the surprise, the horror which filled me at the scene that I saw, the moment in which I had turned to close the door had been long enough, it seemed, for a greater change to come at the end. The far end of the room, a large mirror, a looking glass, or so it seemed to me, now stood where it had not been before. As I walked toward it in terror, I saw my own form, all spotted with blood, its face white, advancing to meet me with a weak and uncertain step. So it appeared, I say. Yes. Hi. Okay. Era Botatini! Why is the thing like that? Child. So it appeared, I say, but was not. It was my enemy. It was Wilson, who then stood before me in the paint of death, His mask and coat lay upon the floor. In his dress and in his face there was nothing which he was not mine. It was Wilson. But now it was my own voice. I heard as he said, I have lost. Yet from now on, you are also dead. Dead to the world. Dead to heaven. Dead to hope. In me you lived. And in my death, see by this face, which yourself is your own health, how completely you have killed yourself. And Emma has a mess. And that was William Wilson. Jeez, that was a long book to read. I don't know how Johnny does it, but excuse me. I don't know how Johnny does it, but jeez. Damn, Johnny. Okay, well that'll do it for the stream. I said I was gonna read William Wilson, and I did. I read Edgar Allan Poe. So how many viewers are there? 1, 2? I don't know. But I think I'm gonna rate Suma. I know there's most likely one person, so it'll probably just be me or something. I don't know. Something like that. Alright, there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I wish to see you guys in the next stream. Anyways, here. Whoops. That's the right message. I know it's only one person, but. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Bye.